So you excited, you starting to paint characters on your custom sneakers, and you look at them, you're like, hey bro, these lines, they not it. Don't fret, my friend. Your boy got you. What's up guys, if you're new here, my name is Sean, but the streets call me Color Me Fresh. A lot of people don't understand the importance of nice, crispy, smooth, buttery lines. Whether it's just, nice thin lines, thick lines, or line weight variation. So today I'm going to give you guys some tips to improve your line work that's going to improve your overall artwork. And these methods can be used on any medium, whether you're drawing, sketching, if you're working traditionally, if you're working digitally, if you're painting on a canvas. These tips can be applied anywhere because line work, is versatile. Line work on any medium is important. Now, to kick it off, we have to address the elephant in the room, the toothpick. Now, my bro Dylan over at the Jesus Custom Footwear is the Big Daddy Kane of the toothpick game. So he's all about the toothpick. Now, do I feel like there's anything wrong with the toothpick? No, the toothpick is good for details, touch-ups, to fix blemishes, maybe even short lines. I'm a firm believer, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So if you like a toothpick and you use a toothpick, continue to use your toothpick. But I also suggest people try different avenues and figure out different ways that things can work for them. So to the question, do I Surf Fresh a lot use a toothpick? Nah, man, I don't. And the reason why that is, my friend, is because a toothpick does not hold paint. Now, one of the worst things you can do as an artist if you're trying to have crispy line work is this.
Oh my God, no, please God, no. Oh my God, no, please, oh no.
That, my friend, is called the little hatching, the etch-a-sketch, the hack doodle. You don't want to do that. Right, that stopping and starting, it shows two things: that you're not confident in your line work and it just don't look good. So you don't want to do that, man. You want to have a nice smooth stroke, and you can't achieve that nice long smooth stroke with a toothpick. You're going to have to get you something with some bristles, player, and I mean some long bristles. I do recommend a 20/0. Now, this is the exact brush I use on every shoe. I use a Princeton 20/0. Does not have to be Princeton. I'm not sponsored by Princeton. I've just used them since the beginning of time, and I've just kind of stuck with them. There's another brand that you prefer, use that. It doesn't even have to be a 20/0. You can use an 18/0, or you can try anything bigger or smaller, whatever floats your boat. But I recommend something with longer bristles, not even short bristles, because again, short bristle brushes don't hold paint either. You want to use something with longer bristles.
Now, we can do this the easy way, or we can do it the hard way. The choice is yours.
So I'm gonna do a line work comparison with the toothpick, and then I'm gonna use the brush. Now, the lines I'm not doing are meant to be straight. This is just to show you how long the paint lasts with the toothpick in comparison with the brush. This isn't a comfortable position to be doing line work in, so my lines are gonna be looking a little hanky-panky. All right, so toothpick first, dip. I'm gonna start back here on the heel. As you can see, it starts fading pretty soon. I'm gonna do another one for people that are out there that's gonna be like, oh bro, it's rigged. And I'm gonna twist it just to get a little more paint. Yeah, and as you can see, it starts fading pretty soon. Do the same thing with the brush so you guys can see the difference. Get a finer tip there, player. And one more. And as you can see, you have a solid line for the entire length of a size 13 sneaker. You're not going to get that with a toothpick. And like I said, that little hiccup right there is just because I didn't apply the pressure to the paintbrush all the way. Again, this is the awkward position, so I can't really get a solid line how I want to. But as you can see, there's no fading. It's a solid black line, and that's what you want for your line work. So again, why that is important is because the longer bristles hold more paint so you don't have to constantly dip into the paint and then restart your line. When something doesn't hold paint well, you have to stop your line because it doesn't stretch that far because there's no paint in the bristles, and then re-dip and then start over. Every time you stop and start, it creates like a little hitch in your line work, and it's not a nice smooth line or a curve, right? If you're painting and you have to do here, stop, re-dip, stop, re-dip, stop, re-dip, you're going to see those hatches. You're going to see those stop and start marks, and you don't want that. When you have longer bristle brushes, it holds more paint, so when you do a nice stroke, you can finish the line that you want to finish. Now, to go along with the long bristle paintbrush, you want to mix a little bit of too thin in your paint. You don't want to put too much because when it gets too watery and liquidy, it doesn't turn out too well. I recommend you starting off with maybe a drop or two, and then if you need to add more, do it then. What the too thin does, it improves the fluidity of the paint and just the overall flow, if you know what I'm saying, baby. So when you put the too thin in your paint and you use it, it's going to stretch your paint a little bit further than it would without the too thin in it. And to piggyback off of you adding the too thin, once the paint starts drying, it's better to replace it. Don't put new paint on top of the old paint, especially if it's still kind of fresh, because when you dip into the new paint, you're going to get a little bit of the old paint, and then your paint's going to get lumpy and it's not going to work as well. Once the paint starts drying, it's not as smooth, it doesn't go on as easy, and it's going to mess up your line work, which is what you don't want. So I recommend you using a little bit of paint at a time, put a little bit of too thin in it, and then replace the paint as you need to as you go, because then that will help your line work stay nice and crispy. Piggybacking off of you mixing in the too thin with the paint, you also, once you dip, you want to remove some of the excess. So you want to do a pull and twist. When you dip the paint, pull, twist, and it gives your paintbrush this really fine tip, which is going to allow you to get really thin lines. And so with this really fine tip, you can do a lot of things. You start off thin, and then you can go thicker. A lot easier to go from thin to thick than it is to go from thick to thin. And so you having a thinner line to start and then adjusting it as you go is usually the way to go, people. Now, for the wham bam thank you ma'am, something I know a lot of people don't know about or incorporates are line weights. No, I'm not talking about you weighing your lines. I ain't talking about your line being 150. I'm talking about you adjusting your line's thickness and thinness to kind of show emphasis on different areas in your artwork, man. And so when you have a thin line and you can adjust your line weights, it kind of adds emphasis to whatever you're trying to add emphasis to. So example, normally thicker lines are in the shadows. So if you have a light coming from the top, the surface or the area that's being hit by the light usually is a thinner line, and then whatever's in the shadow is typically a thicker line. And that variance kind of lets people know that, hey, this is the shadow area, and it just kind of adds more depth. Another example is if you have a character that's like punching and the fist is in front of the character, you can use thicker line weights around the fist to emphasize that that fist is in front of the character and closer to the viewer. And so line weights are a really good way to add detail. Things like the coloring book typically have all the same line weight, and it doesn't look as good as a picture with variants of line weights. The variant of line weights tend to look more detailed and just look better overall. So work on your line weights. That's probably going to take you the furthest. And yeah, ain't no problem. It's going to take you the furthest, especially when it comes to your line work. Good line weights can really help the detail in your character. I just started a Patreon, so if you want to help support your boy and the channel, that is currently the best way to go about doing that. I currently have 3 tiers. I plan on adding more in the future. I just didn't want to bite off more than I can chew. By you guys becoming a Patreon member, it will help me a lot. It will help the channel a lot. It will help me focus on making better YouTube content and just making better displays and sneakers overall, so I don't have to focus so much on doing commissions. It will be in the description down below, so please check it out, and I thank you guys in advance. You're some real ones. So that's it for the video, guys. Let me know in the comments what kind of tips you want to see in the future. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, remember, everything deserves a little color. Peace.